Right now at 10, thunderstorms are rapidly forming in northeast Iowa, and they're heading towards southwest Wisconsin at about 50 miles per hour. In just a couple moments, we'll track those thunderstorms and when you can expect them in your neighborhood.
And bird flu continues to spread across southern Wisconsin. How farmers are dealing with the rise of the disease. And UW-Madison set to offer 3-year degrees now. We'll detail the process to actually implement those changes. It's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke. Sarah is off tonight. We begin with a look at your forecast. Our first warn weather team tracking chances for severe thunderstorms tonight. Alex, what are we seeing on radar? It's getting busy to our west.
It's getting busy to our west, Eric. This is what we were expecting over the evening hours, that the best threat for thunderstorms would be with a line of thunderstorms coming through during the late evening hours. We have thunderstorms on the severe side just west of the Mississippi River for winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. That storm is moving off towards the northeast at about 50 miles per hour, and that cell is only 40 miles away from Grant County. So that means that that thunderstorm will be in Grant County within the course of the next hour. Now, let's widen things out here. There are no other thunderstorms across southern Wisconsin. This is that cluster that we were talking about during the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast that would be on our doorstep, rumbling its way towards southwest Wisconsin by the time we get to 10 o'clock. Let's track it together here. I think Future Track is doing an excellent job capturing that cluster of thunderstorms over southwest Wisconsin. 11:30 still just to the west of Madison, but as we move towards the 12 o'clock hour from the Dells down to Mineral Point, that cluster of thunderstorms, eventually it nears Madison once we get to 1 o'clock in the morning. Once we get past 1 o'clock in the morning, it rapidly advances off to the east, which is not uncommon when these storms get together in a line. Sometimes the momentum starts to push them forward faster and then likely out of the area by the time we get to 2 or so o'clock in the morning. The overall threats with this line of thunderstorms: strong damaging winds are a possibility up to 60 miles per hour, hail to 1 inch in diameter. We still cannot rule out the potential for a brief spin-up tornado, especially for areas near the Wisconsin-Illinois border where there's still just enough instability, just enough warmth and moisture in combination with strong wind dynamics in the atmosphere. When I come back, we're going to keep a close tab on those thunderstorms. We'll go through Future Track one more time to let folks know, in case you missed it, when this line of thunderstorms will be expected in your neighborhood in southern Wisconsin. Eric?
All right, Alex, thank you. And now to a developing story near Mount Horeb. A standoff between Dane County Sheriff's deputies and an armed man, we are told, is now over. Law enforcement had blocked off Ridgeview Road near Springdale Lutheran Church in the town of Springdale. The Dane County Sheriff's Office says deputies were negotiating with an armed, barricaded man. But the situation was peacefully resolved just in the last 20 minutes, about 9:45 p.m. The man's name has not yet been released. We will keep you updated as more information becomes available. Governor Tony Evers signed 6 bills into law today criminalizing the grooming of children for sexual activity. Under the new 2025 Wisconsin Act 88, grooming was added to the definition of abuse under the state's Children's Code. Additionally, the law holds that consent is not a defense for grooming. Another bill makes it so schools will be required to give annual trainings to employees on how to identify, prevent, and report grooming starting in the next school year. More than 4 million birds have been infected now with bird flu in Wisconsin so far this year. There are confirmed cases in Jefferson, Walworth, and Dane counties. Sunnyside Hatchery in Horicon is entering its busiest season of the year, but it's also the time of the year where they have to be extra cautious of bird flu.
After the last few springs, this kind of seems to be the norm now. Is once the birds start moving, it starts popping up. It's very, very deadly. And then also they become a carrier for life. So it's a tough virus to deal with.
The Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection says those most recent cases in Jefferson and Walworth counties have impacted 2 flocks, totaling about 3 million birds. A weaker than expected jobs report showed losses in February, and the unemployment rate is rising. Employers cut 92,000 jobs last month, and the unemployment rate rose to 4.4%. Losses were seen across nearly every sector, including 40,000 healthcare jobs weighed down by a nurses' strike. Local businesses in Dane County are taking steps to fight back against the president's new tariffs. Enjoy Winter in Middleton, one of 6 local businesses that have signed on to a letter to lawmakers saying they don't have the resources to go to court, nor can they wait years for a refund. The company's president says he's bearing the majority of the financial burden to keep prices reasonable for his customers.
Every business decision we're making has even a greater risk. Our margins are less, and the unknown of what the tariffs are going to be tomorrow, next week, next month, or 4 years from now makes it difficult to sleep at night.
And Joy Winter adds that the tariffs are making it difficult for small independent businesses to grow while navigating those extra expenses. And the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran continues to take a toll on the economy. Another tough day for Wall Street. The Dow dropping more than 450 points after losing over 700 yesterday. Crude oil prices are now up more than 20% in just the past week. According to GasBuddy, the national average of gas has now jumped 32 cents a gallon over the last 7 days. Experts suggest Americans fill up their gas tanks or drive less. Prospective UW System students may get the chance to complete their degrees more quickly than originally anticipated. Our Maya Tate joins us now with more on the change. Maya?
Eric, the Universities of Wisconsin Board of Regents has approved a policy that allows system schools to develop specific 3-year degrees. A few weeks ago, the board announced that they would look into the idea of creating 3-year degree programs, but had no specific time frame for when they would begin the discussions. With this decision, schools can now develop 3-year degree programs, but they will still need to go through a thorough review process.
We will now have to operationalize this with our system policies, but the real work will happen on our campuses. They will, once it goes through a rigorous process on a campus, will then submit to us either a new program with reduced credits or a current program that has now been reduced in the number of credits.
After the campuses put together their plans for the programs, they will have to get it thoroughly reviewed before things can become official. After the review goes through the Board of Regents, it will then get sent to the Higher Learning Commission for final approval. Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, Johannes Spritz, says that he thinks the main areas that could benefit from this would be the technical ones. But he also says that it'll take time, so changes to the programs probably won't happen anytime soon.
All right, Maya, thank you. Dane County election officials say a new ballot printing partnership is making this spring's election more secure and also more efficient. The county now sending absentee ballots out about a week earlier than in past elections. Officials say the goal is to cut down on long lines, ballot shortages, and the risk that voters don't get their ballots back in time to count. Election officials are also printing poll books earlier for better accuracy and trust.
Printing the weekend before the election means that we have the people who voted in-person absentee up to that date that we generate the poll books in the poll book. That means that the chief inspectors and the election officials can see whose ballot they should expect. That was maybe not the case in the past.
Officials say the earlier mailing won't change how votes are counted. Ballots still have to arrive by 8 p.m. on Election Day to be counted. And the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program is facing a grim future. That program helps conservation organizations and the DNR purchase land, build trails, maintain parks and boating facilities, and take care of our shorelines. In January, Assembly Republicans passed a bill that would extend the program, but without funding for land acquisition. And then last month, the Senate failed to take a vote on legislation, sending it back to committee. But one of the program's advocates says he has concerns with that legislation.
That is simply Knowles Nelson in name only. What passed out of the Assembly has some money for facilities maintenance, and that's important, but essentially no money to acquire conservation lands. Without being able to purchase land, it's simply not the stewardship program.
Funding for the program is set to run out in June. You can catch Ellie LaLiberte's interview about the future of the program this Sunday morning at 10:30 on For the Record. February might be over, but celebrations of Black excellence show no signs of stopping. Bella Farrak explored just what this means and why it's important.
Yeah, Eric, at Madison East High School today, hundreds of Madisonians gathered at the Let's Stay Together event to celebrate Black culture and community. And after reflections on the past and the present, it was clear the most powerful feeling in the room was love. Attendees enjoyed a multicultural show featuring a resounding performance of the Black national anthem and enjoyed a hearty soul food dinner afterward. But MSCR program leader Aliana Pertzborn says the event means more than just a good meal.
In this time, especially now, we feel like it's very important for all of us to stay together as a community, and not just the Black community, everybody as one. So that's why we labeled it Let's Stay Together.
And that community outreach is all thanks to a special kind of love. A love built from a past of surviving and a present of thriving. But these successes don't stop once we turn our calendars to March. That spark can be carried in all of us, all the time. If you're curious to learn more about Black culture, be sure to keep an eye out for upcoming MSCR cultural events. And remember, the joy found in these celebrations is for everyone.
Alex is back. The latest on these alert day conditions overnight, and the Packers say goodbye to one of their defensive players, or do they? Jason Wilde breaks down some recent drama surrounding Rashawn Gary's future with the team. Alert day conditions moving through southern Wisconsin. Alex joins us with more on the potential for severe weather overnight.
Yeah, Eric, we're keeping an eye on thunderstorms that have rapidly formed in northeast Iowa. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning off towards the south and towards the west of the Mississippi River for Buchanan County for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and hail to approximately 1 inch in diameter. And now that storm is one cell to the west. We have another cell that's just to the east of that that's going to be moving off towards the east also at about 50 miles per hour. I'll step out here to the bigger wall here to call out some of the towns and the communities that are going to be in the path of this storm as it moves off towards the north and towards the east again at about 50 miles per hour. It is not currently a severe warning storm, but this will bring this into the Glen Haven area at 10:21 p.m. Cassville right around 10:24 p.m. and then over towards the Patch Grove and Lancaster area as we go from 10:30 to the 10:40 hour period. Winds are going to be the primary threat with this cell as it moves off towards the northeast, and then also hail, currently sub-severe, but that could change momentarily. Zooming on out here, here's that cluster of thunderstorms that we said during the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast would likely be our greatest threats for severe weather, and Future Track is doing a great job capturing that cluster of thunderstorms, Prairie du Chien to Boscobel up to Richland Center by 11 o'clock. As we advance to the east here, midnight, stretching from Wisconsin Dells south to Mineral Point, and then getting into the Madison area, the Dells, Madison, maybe down to Monroe as we head towards 1 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock, it's completely off to the east. These thunderstorms have a tendency when they form into a line to accelerate and move faster. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we can get these storms through southern Wisconsin with too much in the way of severe weather. But the primary threats will be strong winds and also hail. We still can't rule out the potential. It's very small, but the brief spin-up tornado we can't rule out in southern Wisconsin. Still outlined by the Storm Prediction Center here. Scattered severe thunderstorms from the Mississippi River, Prairie du Chien, Platteville, Dubuque, east to Lone Rock, to Madison, Monroe, and Janesville for at least the next couple of hours as that cluster moves out of southwest Wisconsin. Here's part of the reason why. Our temperatures, now while this is not very, very warm conditions out there, we're right around 60 degrees, temperatures in the upper 50s to right around 60. You combine that with a dew point, that's a measure of moisture. When it approaches 60, that's when you start to have enough moisture in the atmosphere to support severe thunderstorms. And we do have upper 50 to near 60 degree dew points in parts of southern Wisconsin. So the warmth and the moisture, it's meager, but we also have very strong winds high up in the sky, and that sometimes can compensate for when we have less in the way of warmth and moisture, meaning we still can have severe weather tonight. There's still tornado watch off towards the west until 4 a.m., but that cluster is advancing quickly east now into Wisconsin. Just getting information from the National Weather Service in collaboration with the Storm Prediction Center. They are currently not anticipating issuing a watch for southern Wisconsin at this time. They feel that the severe weather threat, while it is certainly there, any warnings will be a bit more on the isolated side, but we will be keeping a close tab on that as well. Taking a look at our live Platteville First Warn weather cam here at the Queen Bee radio station, just looking off towards the west to see if we see any lightning at all because those thunderstorms are approaching rapidly from the west. Now we'll keep a close eye on this tonight. I'm here, Blaze is here. If we still have that threat of severe weather after 2 o'clock, Jacob will join me, but I think that line will be through southern Wisconsin by that point in time, and then we can enjoy a weekend that's a bit more on the quiet side, but we've got a couple more hours here where we're not entirely out of the woods
We saw dangerous tornadoes in Michigan tonight. It's already that time of the year, so Alex will be keeping us safe throughout the evening hours. Alex, thank you so much. Well, with NFL free agency starting next week, some Packer fans have been wondering about the future of some of the current players on the roster, and today defensive end Rashawn Gary appeared to give some clarity on his future, but as News 3 Now senior Packers writer Jason Wilde explains, it turns out it might not be the case.
With free agency set to begin and teams struggling to get under the salary cap either by releasing players or by restructuring their contracts, some in the NFL like to call this time of year the silly season. But it doesn't get much sillier than what happened with Packers defensive end Rashawn Gary today. First, he, or at least we thought it was him, posted to his social media channels a farewell message to the Packers and their fans, saying his time with the team was up. Then those posts mysteriously disappeared. Then we were told that his accounts had been hacked, which I personally did not find all that credible. All we know right now is this. According to an NFL source, the Packers have not released, nor have they traded Rashawn Gary, and that, quote, all options remain on the table. The fact of the matter is this. He has a $28 million salary cap number, and the Packers are not going to keep him at that number. Whether they will move on from him or restructure him is hard to say. This is what GM Brian Gutekunst said earlier in the offseason about him.
I thought he started out really, really strong. I mean, obviously he had a lot of production early. I think he ended up with 60-some pressures and 7.5 sacks, which, that's nothing to I mean, that's pretty good production in the National Football League. I did think towards the end of the year he wasn't as productive as he was at the beginning. So certainly that'll be something I'm sure he looks at personally, and we look at as a team, is how we can continue to make sure that his production level is the same at the beginning and the end of the season.
So at least for right now, we remain in a holding pattern on Rashawn Gary's future. We have a story on the Gary situation on our website, channel3000.com, where you can also read about the passing of Bob Harlan, the franchise's visionary team president and CEO, who passed away yesterday at the age of 89. In Green Bay, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
Jason, thank you. And Andrew's here with a look at the day in sports.
Yeah, big day, and we'll start with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Division III NCAA tournament games. All those highlights and more next on News 3 Now.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS.
It's time to dust off your best pair of dancing shoes, and if you don't have any, that's all right, because the Division III tournament is here, and they're dancing one way or another. Let's start with the women's side, and Whitewater, who played a really good Transylvania team. They entered this game 24-4 on the year, and this was a barn burner. The Warhawks trailed by a trio entering the final frame, but Mia Gillis, she wouldn't let off the gas, scoring 22 points, and Whitewater wins it. Moving on to the round of 32, taking it 70-65, the final. Now to the Platteville women, where it wasn't quite as pleasant. Caitlin Strom sticks the 3. This one would go to halftime tied, but Co could not be stopped after the break. Platteville's season comes to a close, 69-51, the final score. Let's head to the men's side, and the amazing news is that Whitewater and Platteville both made it to the NCAA tournament there, too. We'll stick with the Pioneers, who played Otterbein and were on top early. Max Love lays it up for 2, but over time their lead would fade away. The Cardinals of Otterbein come back and beat Platteville, ending their season 52-57 is the final. But on the Whitewater side of things, who won the WEAC tournament, they wouldn't be denied. Luke Barra laces the triple, putting UW up 19 late in the first half, and they'd advance with ease. The Warhawks win it 85-76. Well, on the Division I level, could this be the year that Wisconsin men's basketball gets back to the Sweet 16? It's been almost a decade. Luckily, one of the best bracketologists in the country lives right down the road, in Eric Haslam of Haslametrics. I sat down and talked to the mastermind, who says a Wisconsin win tomorrow at Purdue on CBS would go a long way.
I mean, it's funny how they've kind of moved in the last few weeks, because at one point they were just borderline getting in the tournament. Then all of a sudden you get a couple nice wins, and all of a sudden they're in the 9 line and the 8 line, they're comfortably in. But now they've kept going, and now they're sitting probably straddling that 7 and 6 line. You beat Purdue, you got to start talking 5 seed, because especially the way they're playing.
Well, it doesn't get a whole lot better than state hockey, especially if you're Edgewood. After winning their first ever state title last year, they're back in the state semifinal with a chance to get to tomorrow's title game, and the seniors stepped up, picked things up late in the second. Edgewood turns a 2-goal lead into a 4-1 advantage. Owen Cook, the senior captain, nets the goal, but he was just getting started, because early in the third, Cook Well, he just keeps cooking, scoring his second goal to go with his 2 assists on the day. The Crusaders cruise to a 7-2 victory, earning a trip to tomorrow's state final. After years of work on the football field trying to prove that they're the kind of player that an NFL team would want, Wisconsin's senior class got the chance to prove it today at the team's pro day. All 21 seniors showed off their speed, strength, and skills, with all 32 NFL teams standing right in front of them. An exciting and kind of weird experience.
Something you dream about as a kid, you know, come out here, run the 40, do the broad jump, vertical, all that. And just to be back here with a great group of guys that, you know, I was here 4 years with, and, you know, some guys here before me or whatever. But, you know, it was just, it was really awesome.
Today, I'm competing with every one of these guys who are literally my best friends. Like, those guys that went through D-line drills are literally my brothers. And they're the same guys who are going to be fighting to get drafted, too, after this.
And what a way to end the season for Wisconsin men's hockey, the regular season at least, sweeping the 6th-ranked team in the country, Penn State, and we'll call it Hockey Valley. And be sure to watch the Wisconsin women play Ohio State in the WCHA championship game tomorrow at 2 p.m. on our sister station, Television Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
Back to Alex, the latest on the forecast.
Yes, strong thunderstorms are moving into Grant County right now. Gusty winds below 60 miles per hour, maybe some hail to about the size of a ½ inch in diameter. We can put that on there right now. That's going to be bringing that into Lancaster at 10:41 p.m. and then over towards Fenimore as we would start to approach at the 11 o'clock hour. That line of thunderstorms will sweep across the rest of southern Wisconsin this evening, and Blaze and I will be here to monitor to make sure any of these storms that do become severe that we cut in for them.
All right, stay with News 3 now for the very latest on the changing weather situation. Colbert is next. Our next newscast tomorrow morning at 5. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.